What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with a very special guest. We have Tureano Johnson. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I'm blessed.
Good to hear. So, I want to ask you some questions, sit you down, and before I get started, you put on a hell of a show with Curtis Stevens on Friday, and I know the fans have been hitting me up. They want to hear from you. Have you had a chance to watch that fight?
Well, in fact, I just recently watched it just about a few hours ago, and it was a heartbreaking moment for me. A heartbreaking moment.
And did you notice anything kind of different given that second viewing?
Oh no, it went exactly how I remembered and just how I saw it. It was all intact, and there was nothing different at all from what I recall.
All right. And before I get into the fight, I interviewed with Curtis Stevens before the fight, and one of the questions that I asked him was, since you have limited information available on your opponent, does that make it harder? And he said he wasn't really worried about it. Do you think Curtis Stevens underestimated you?
No, I don't think Curtis Stevens underestimated. He's a prime fighter, a very good fighter, one who is a world contender for world title. I think he doesn't take anything lightly. In this job as a professional fighter on the level that he's at, every fight is a world title fight. So no, I didn't think he took this fight lightly. He knew what he was going in the ring to do. Whether it's a guy who had won one fight and 1,000 draws, he knew that was a world title fight regardless.
All right. And we all know how the fight ended in that controversial fashion, so I know for you it's definitely bittersweet. You were winning on all the scorecards. Stevens caught you with that shot in the 10th round. Do you think that you became overconfident in the 10th because you seemed to kind of control the pace and really take his best shots early?
But I can't give you that because the truth is, Curtis Stevens had hit me with even much more better shots than that. Um, I felt as though that shot that he gave me with just one of the lightest combination, one of the easiest flurry that he had thrown throughout the whole fight. That shot did not hurt. Just like many of the other shots, yes, they did stung a bit. But yeah, that's boxing. You're going to get hit and you're going to get shocked at times, and I was able to recover and I was coherent every step of the way, especially in that last flurry, which he landed two good shots, missed the last few, and the referee just jumped in, and the referee jumped in when he was missing the shots. I think that's a bit bogus.
All right. And I know in the middle of fighting, when you're fighting, there's a million things going through your head, and everything's kind of easier to say in hindsight, looking back at it. But do you recall ever considering taking a knee in that 10th round when he was trying to overwhelm you because he was behind?
Well, that's a good question, but I'm an athlete who has been in the sport for quite some time, and I was well prepared. If there was needed to take a knee, I would take a knee. If it was needed to clinch, I would have taken it. I would have clinched. There was no sign. There wasn't necessary for me to do either of those. I was ready, just as I've been doing, sticking to the game plan. When Curtis threw a good combination, and he missed, I would come back and make him pay for missing. That's what we were doing, and it was unfair that it ended up that way. He missed the last few punches, which we were going to counter attack. In fact, it was so lucky for the referee not to be able. You would end up getting hit because we were coming back with shots. Curtis Stevens took bait, and yet the referee just stepped in and disturbed the whole game plan.
All right. And when I was interviewing with Curtis before the fight, I said I did my homework on you. I watched some of your previous fights. There's a limited information on you and limited data kind of on the YouTube kind of floating around. And one thing I noticed even more so just seeing you against a world-class person like Curtis Stevens, I noticed that you were fighting at such a frenetic pace. It's hard to keep up with you. Just from my perspective, what kind of training goes into that to help you keep up with that type of work rate, that type of volume? Throughout the whole fight, you were really staying on top of them, whether you were getting hit with big shots or not. You had that constant work rate.
Well, I would tell you the truth. It's just a gift that the Almighty God has blessed me with. I've inherited that from my dad. But hey, if you didn't know, I've only been given less than 4 weeks to train for that fight. Only so much conditioning you could put inside a training, so it only could have been a supernatural force. But yeah, I do train on a regular basis, whether I have a fight or I don't have a fight. Boxing is a lifestyle for me. This is a living. You can play basketball, play volleyball, you can even play football, but you can't play boxing, and I don't play this at all. This is what I do. and I do it to the best of my ability that God has blessed me to do it.
Good answer. And Curtis Stevens, in a recent interview after the fight, he said he gave his performance a D. He gives you credit, but he said he was looking too hard for the knockout, and he allowed you to back him up. So I'm not sure if he wants a rematch. I have to reach back out to his side to see if he's willing to entertain that. And obviously, the boxing politics and main events will have to look at that. But if there's no Curtis Stevens rematch, are there any other middleweight fights that really appeal to you that you think you're ready for?
Well, Tureano Johnson, I consider myself as a world champion fighter. Right now, I ought to be fighting for a world title. Peter Quillen has been next on my list, and that's what we're gunning for. Yes, we would love to have a rematch with Curtis Stevens, all hands down, in a heart attack, as quick as you can snap a finger. We want that rematch with Curtis Stevens. But we do see that, listen, Curtis Stevens is only a little small fry. It isn't as if he's the end of the world for me. This is in the beginning. We have been working on something and we're going full-fledged into it. Yes, we have a minor setback because of an unfair deal. But hey, God has blessed me with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. I have not been missing any of them. I'm still ready to go out there and use these tools. Curtis Stevens, if I was him, I would accept a rematch. Hey, listen, Curtis did not beat Tureano Johnson. Tureano Johnson has been given an unfair deal on the account of the official, such as the referee. The same referee who was pushing Tureano Johnson literally in a violent manner throughout the whole fight, calling Tureano Johnson for low blows, which were never low blows, giving Curtis Stevens rest. Telling Tureano that he's hitting behind the head, telling Tureano that he's holding. If you watch the fight, you evaluate the fight, you can see that Tureano did neither of those mistakes that the referee had said. It is clear that from the onset of the fight, the referee had it in for me. Round 4, I had told the referee 3 times, please, just give me a fair chance. Please, all I want is a fair chance. Please give me a fair chance. I said that coming out of the corner in round 4.
Damn. I definitely had you up in the scorecards, and again, a brave, courageous performance. I want to rewind a little bit. And how did you first get into boxing?
I started boxing, initially, it was through Ray Minus Sr., who had invited my sister and my brother to box, and me being the smallest in my entire family. Yes, I am the eldest of the 5. I just took along, and I tagged along with them, and there it was. I continued, and I was able to get the support of my mother and my father, who would continue to support me in boxing. And it was Raymond Sr. He's the one who had invited us into the boxing ring.
And what's it like? I've never personally been to the Bahamas, so what's it like in the Bahamas, just that environment?
Well, I must tell you, it is a grand experience in the Bahamas. If you have not been to the Bahamas, you have not lived life. You have aqua water that are extremely beautiful and clean. You would want to live inside the water, more or less live on the land. I love my country. It's a beautiful island. We have 700 islands, reefs, and keys. And it's just paradise inside paradise.
Damn. So, Andre Berto, he had said in an interview that you're someone to watch for and that you fight at this crazy, possessed rate.
Oh, my.
You also had some experience with the Cuban schooling system. Can you tell the fans a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. Well, I trained with Andre Berto, and I must give God the honor and the glory for allowing that opportunity to come. I've learned a whole lot with Andre Berto, as well as I've been living down in Cuba for an extended period of time, most of the later years of my amateur career. Training with the Cubans has enabled me and taught me a whole lot when it came to learning how to box. Yes, it is true. I'm not that much of a technical fighter. Had it not been for Cuba, I would have been let's say, not a boxer, period. But I've learned a whole lot under the guidance of my coach, Jesus Jew, who had taught me a great deed. And to live the lifestyle of a Cuban, sparring is just like a fight. Imagine that. You have to fight almost every day, and that's the way they live. Those guys train hard, they live hard, and they go there and they fight harder.
And as far as sparring in general, have you faced any of the big names in sparring, just in the amateurs or just sparring, preparing them for a fight?
Well, the nature of my being, I'm not one of the nicest guys when it comes to the ring. So, no, the head coach here, he did not allow that to happen. He wouldn't allow me to spar with the big name guys. But I did spar with many of the local kids who are prominent right now as an amateur fighters. Today's best amateur fighters today. Yes, I was able to spar with them. But the professional fighters of Cuba today, no, it was unlikely that I was able to spar with most of them.
Okay, perfect. And I want to get your take on some upcoming fights. As far as Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, they kind of have a grudge match, kind of like you and Curtis Stevens. Who do you pick in the Pacquiao-Bradley rematch?
Well, I love both of those guys. I think they are both talented. Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. It's really hard to take. It's being said now that Pacquiao doesn't have the fire anymore. I think Pacquiao needs the fire. It could be a gimmick as well as it could be just the truth. Who knows? But if Pacquiao doesn't bring the fight, I don't think Pacquiao is going to win a fight against Timothy Bradley.
All right. And Mayweather versus Maidana, another interesting matchup.
Well, it is so, man. Floyd Mayweather isn't undefeated for no reason. I like Madonna, but I don't think he is. I think it would take a very rugged fighter. Probably the most rugged fighter out there to really go up against Floyd Mayweather. To go up against Floyd Mayweather, you can forget about it. Don't try to play a game of chess with him because he is the smartest guy out there. So forget about playing chess. You need to come in there and bring a sledgehammer as well as to bring a helmet for your head because the guy is really fast. So you're gonna have to be able to watch out for his shots. As well as the guy is really, really smart, so you got to be careful what you do and what you don't do. So I don't think he has what it takes to really take on Floyd Mayweather.
Okay. So, just in closing, I gotta say, in my honest opinion, your performance against Curtis Stevens, you gained a lot of fans. I mean, really, they reached out to me. I commend you for such a courageous and brave performance. Where can fans stay in touch with Tureano Johnson and hear about your next fights and updates?
Well, no doubt. Twitter is where it's at now. You can contact me on @Tureano1984. @Tureano1984. You can contact me on Twitter and please let me know what you have to say, whether it be positive or negative. I can take good constructive criticism as well as I can take positive criticisms as well. I want to hear what people have to say. I'm all ears and I want to learn. This is a sport of boxing as well as it's a business of boxing. I want to get into it and I want to do my best.
All right, Tureano. We definitely appreciate your performance, and I'm definitely going to check into your next fight as soon as we get that underway. And I'll be in touch with you just as the updates come.
Okay, well, God bless you all, and please stay tuned. Tureano is not done. I've lost the fight, but I have not lost the battle. Curtis Stevens is a great athlete. I hold nothing against him. I think he did an excellent job in the ring. Just that I'm being more aggressive, but hey, that referee, I really do think he needs to be reprimanded. And anyway, the decision needs to be looked at over again. Either way it is, Tureano Johnson is here and I'm here to stay.
All right, true champion and a true class act. I appreciate you for your time.
Thank you very much and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.